Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean, and we have special guest Big Dave from Bawl Sports. And Dave, you want to hype up all your media-ness?
Bulls Outsiders with myself, John, and Matt. Of course, Bawl Sports, that you just mentioned. We do two shows. We do Bow, and we do Bow on Bulls. You have to say it like Avery Johnson is saying it. You can find those at ballsports.com. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts. And also, quick plug, May 14th, we're doing a live Bulls Outsiders show at Public House for the draft lottery. So you all should come. You guys are definitely invited. You definitely should come out and just laugh with us and drink with us and cheer with us. And yeah, it should be a good time.
Oh, that sounds
That is the plan to go. To watch the Bulls get the number one pick.
Yes.
Number
two.
Pick.
It would be number two. Trust me.
I'm all right with number two, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So we wanted Dave to talk Bulls because he's a television personality talking about the Bulls. So he is our go-to expert. But more importantly, we have the Russo brothers' permission to talk spoilers on Avengers Endgame. And we wanted to make sure we had Dave on to talk. So I feel like, the last episode, Alex and I were a little bit handcuffed in what we were trying to say because we were trying to be spoiler free because at that point the movie had been out for like 3 days. But we've been out now. It's already the number 2 all-time biggest grossing movie in movie history, and it's getting ready to steamroll Avatar for number 1. So let's talk Avengers Endgame.
Oh, it feels so good not to like we did last week.
Yeah. What was everyone's opinion?
Oh, on Endgame? Okay. Well, I was very excited to go see this movie. As you all know, we're Marvel fans. You all know we've had this conversation. We've had this conversation before. But going in and watching it, I was terrified because it was 3 hours. I was worried that, it was just going to drag. It was just going to be some things. I was like, I'm going to go to sleep here. You know what I mean? Like, I was concerned. And I should have slapped myself in the face and said, Dave, this is Marvel. They don't do things like this. So when I saw it, and I couldn't believe I sat through 3 hours of this and didn't go to sleep. I was excited. I have moments where I turned into a 6-year-old. I was just over the moon watching this movie. It was way better than Ultron, which is all I wanted it to be. And it gave me closure, you know what I'm saying? Which is what it did. So I was very excited watching this movie, man. It was so many little things. I don't know if you all caught them, but so many little Easter eggs going on in that movie. I think we'll discuss them later, but I also want to know what y'all think about it too. But yeah, man, I enjoyed it. That was an awesome movie going experience for me.
Yeah, I saw it on Thursday night for the first time. And then I went again Friday night to see it again. And I was worried that it was my excitement and that was, carrying my enjoyment of the movie. But when I went to see it again on Friday, I think I enjoyed it even more. There was so many things that I missed. There was, I wasn't anxious to see what happened. Like I'd already knew. So I was just sitting back, relaxing and watching the movie. And I just thought it was fantastic. And Same thing with you, Dave. I was nervous about sitting there for over 3 hours plus, whatever the trailer time, and I made the mistake. What I thought was going to be a mistake for the first viewing is I went to see it at the ArcLight on like Clybourne, and they have a bar, and we had some beers beforehand, and I brought a beer in, and it wasn't a little beer; it was a tall beer. So about halfway through the movie, I was like, man, this was probably a mistake. And I was able to hold strong. Those Kegel exercises paid off.
Proud of you, sir.
So, Dave, it's really interesting that you brought up the whole kind of talking about, this is going to be 3 hours, because I kind of felt that way too. I'm just the kind of person that has trouble sitting still for a long period of time. And one of the concerns with me we went on the Thursday it opened, and the only place that we were able to get tickets was my local theater, which I'm like, okay, but they were general admission tickets. They were not reserved seats. So I was going with 3 other people. So we said, look, we got to get there so we could get seats. Now, luckily, they added more and more show times. So there was like a showing every 30 minutes. So, the people were nice and spread out. But we got there like an hour plus early. We were able to get in, get our seats. We had to wait a while, but we were able to get in and get really good seats, because one of my fears was being stuck in like the front row and having to look straight up for 3 hours. I mean, let's face it, that would have sucked. Yeah, you all could agree that would have sucked.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because that happened to me. That happened to me when I saw Rogue One when it opened, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But still, I didn't like being in that position. But when the movie started, it's like those 3 hours, they flew by. You were invested in every point of the movie. And that's kind of what I liked about the movie, is that even if every scene wasn't action-packed or there wasn't some crazy like plot twist going on or some joke, it kept you invested throughout the entire movie. I think there's a lot to be said about that, because there are some longer movies that can really drag at times just because the pace is slow, the scenes aren't really going anywhere. At least this movie kept you going with the story, and that's what really helped make the 3 hours go by quick.
Yeah, let me add something to that, because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And two points to that. One, I saw Aquaman in theaters with my nephew, and that was one of my fears, because that movie was well over 2 hours for no reason.
Was it really?
Yeah, for no reason at all. For no reason at all. And I mean, I suffered through that movie. And I'm sorry. Yeah, it was not good. But luckily I had my nephew there. We just cracked jokes about it. It was good and terrible. It was good and terrible. But I also went in prepared when I went in that movie. I like going to shows early. So I got a good night's sleep. Okay. I got up and I did my usual trip to Walgreens, got me 2 bags of my fruit snacks. I like the Lifesaver gummies. I got 2 of those.
Right on.
And then when I got to the theater, I told them, give me your biggest popcorn you got back there. Just give me the biggest one. Hand it to me. And so I had that. I had those snacks. I had the popcorn. And then my secret weapon was I brought in some grapes, but the grapes with seeds in them. Because when you got seeds in them, you can't just chew them. It's actually work. You have to spit out the seeds, right. And you actually have to work. So doing that also kept me awake also. So I was prepared. You know what I'm saying? I was ready. I was like, there's no way I'm falling asleep on this movie. This is childhood dreams come true. I'm going to be sitting here watching that. So yeah, I was ready, man. So I'm proud of you, Swerks, man, for real, bro. Because I wanted to drink and I said, no, I can't drink. I'm going to fall asleep in this thing. I want to do this, man.
I just went and got the blue meth, so it was good.
Smart man.
I mean, I went to the bathroom right before the show started. It worked out perfectly. I was able to have a soda and not have to go because I went right before the show. It's like it was timed perfectly.
And not only was I not tired after the movie, I went and dropped 2 friends off afterwards. Don't live anywhere near me. Went home, and by the time I got home, I don't know, it was like after midnight. And I was like, I can't sleep. I'm amped. So I was like, I just logged out of my work computer and I started doing work. Like I worked until like 2 a.m. and I was like, all right, I got to force myself to go to sleep because I was just so keyed up from the movie.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, man. So see, Avengers can help you study and do work and be productive.
And then I came to work next day and I was exhausted and I had to talk with my boss and I was like, you look tired. And he's like, you look tired too. And he goes, did you go see Avengers last night? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, me too.
It's funny. You're not the only one to say that kind of thing. I've heard other people say the same thing. That's so funny.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
All right. So what was everyone's favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene, and it's the one I almost jumped out of my seat on, was when all the Avengers came back. Because Thanos was, I was looking around like, oh man, I don't know what's about to happen. I was like, I guess this is when Cap goes. I was like, I guess this is how it ends for him, man. Dang. And then
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
I just knew it was over. And then when they came out, and then Black Panther and Shuri came out, and I was like, oh no, they're all coming back. And then they all started coming back. Like I perked up in my chair, almost jumped out of my seat. And when he said Avengers and Civil, I said, ah! I couldn't even hold it in. I was like, ah! And then, man, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I was waiting for them to stop the movie because I was like, no, there's no way they're going to let this happen. Like, all this is about to go down right now. No, they're going to stop this movie and tell me there's going to be a part 3. Oh, no, it's going to happen? Oh, my God, this is happening. Oh, snap, this is happening. Like, yeah, that was by far my favorite moment, man. I was completely 6 years old when that happened.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, that was probably the most epic scene in the MCU when it comes to Avengers coming together. My favorite just singular moment was I am Iron Man and then the snap. I play that in my head over and over and over. It's like when I lie down to go to bed, I think about that snap. Someone pointed out something really interesting about that too, is if you look at Thanos' snap in Infinity War, and you look at Tony's snap in Endgame, Thanos snaps with the left hand, and Tony does it with the right hand. And there's like some like religious good versus evil symbolism there. So the attention to detail there is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely true. And even just the way they brought everything back around, because doing time travel is tricky. You know, you could easily do that. You know,
right, and can't just get the time stone and be like, "Oh, here we go." It's got to be more complicated than that.
Right, exactly. So to do it how they did it was very well done, and even when he's just to bring that whole thing full circle, because that's how the Iron Man ended in the first one, was him saying, "I'm Iron Man."
Right,
like that's how the first movie, First Iron Man, ended, and then to end it for his story to come to an end just like that. On that one, it was brilliant. I was like, they tied everything together so well. I was very proud of them.
And the other thing about the what do you call it? Like the stones, the way they just all came to him, like, oh, that was great. That was good.
For me, I had a couple favorite parts, and one was a comedic one when they first go to Thor's house, you know, after 5 years, and Korg is sitting there playing video games. He goes, Thor. He's like, the kid on the TV called me a dickhead again. I'm just like, number one, you know, obviously the Russo brothers have played online gaming with kids because that's what happens is you just get called names by little kids. And then when Mjolnir, the hammer, comes to Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the whole crowd just erupted.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But hands down, my favorite moment, and this might be because I have a daughter, and it's important for me to see the strong female characters, is when they're trying to get the gauntlet with the Infinity Gauntlet with the stones to Ant-Man. And you know, everybody's taking their turn, and finally Spider-Man takes it, and then Captain Marvel takes it, and she's like, "I've got this." And then every female character, like a scene out of the A-Force, comes and they're like, "I got her back," and they all step up. Like, I mean, just talking about it, like I get choked up. I'm like, that's what's up.
Yeah, that was
Angry Scarlet Witch was my favorite of that.
Oh yes, that was awesome to see her. Yeah, and that kind of passion and that kind of anger, man. Like she wasn't playing around. She was like, I don't even. What did he tell him? What did Thanos say to her? I don't even remember him. She was like, you will. And like, oh, I was about to take him out. This is crazy. Like, yeah.
It was basically,
And then her eyes got full of flames.
it was basically out of a 3-hour movie. It was like 2 hours and 44 minutes of my favorite parts just put together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I so enjoyed that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was unreal. And then what's even like the best is the spin-off TV shows that we're gonna get, like with Sam as Captain America and Cap and Bucky Barnes. Like, man, I'm so excited for that. Or the Scarlet Witch spin-off show. Like, I'm excited. These are gonna be some awesome shows that spin out and we get more of the characters we like.
Yeah, because Marvel. I mean, DC does television correct. They usually don't do their movies right, but their television shows are done correctly. And Marvel does both correctly. You know what I'm saying? They do both. So I'm super excited. Like, as soon as Marvel shows left Netflix, I immediately said, why do I have Netflix anymore? I don't even understand why I still have. So after this month, I'm like, yeah, I don't need Netflix anymore. I really don't. But when Disney comes out with theirs, oh yeah, that free trial, as soon as I know what shows are going to be on there, is going to be in full effect. Like you said, Sam Wilson at Captain America, the fact that they stayed true to that in the comic, because that's exactly how it happened in the comic. And the fact that they stayed true to that was huge. And the way they're doing Winter Soldier, you know what I'm saying? Even throwing that little Easter egg in Black Panther, we're calling him the White Wolf. Because that's what he was like there. Like, I was like, man, they do all of this stuff correctly. Like, they please the people who don't watch these movies, who don't read the comics. And then they please the people who are, avid readers, you know what I'm saying, of the comics. They take care of everybody, man. So I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm completely excited for these TV shows.
Yeah, the scene when you see Bucky and Sam walking up to Cap, and both guys have put on the Captain America suit.
Yeah.
So you walk up and you're like, all right, as somebody that reads the comics, you're like, I know that one of them is about to set up as who's going to be Captain America, and I'm like, this is awesome. And it was for people that don't read the comics, that just watch the movies. You gave it to them in spoon fed, and you're like, all right, here's what's happening. But to everybody else that reads the books, you're like, all right, they're setting this up for us. They're walking us up. All right, who's going to be? And then, Bucky's like, you go. And I'm like, oh, there's the next Cap. And then when he hands him the shield, like, man, I got a little choked up. Yeah. I'm like, man, this is, Marvel, not only are they just hitting it out of the park, but more importantly, they're hitting it out of the park and they're being inclusive with people. Is they gave almost all black cast to Black Panther, and that not only did it crush at the box office, it was just an A+ movie. Captain Marvel crushed at the box office, and it was a blast, and she was central in defeating Thanos. They don't defeat Thanos without Captain Marvel. You're gonna have a team up TV show with a black man and a white man, and the black man is going to be the lead. Like that is that's awesome that they're able to do that and be inclusive. It's incredible.
No, you hit that right on the head. That's very true. And another part I caught, which was a little, I don't know if anybody caught this, but when oh God, I forget her name. Starts with an O. The main security person for T'Challa. I forget her name right now, but
Okoye.
Okoye, thank you very much. When Okoye, when they were talking to her and she was talking, they were having that council with her, and like 5 years after everything had happened, they were talking to Black Widow and I forget his name, Iron Patriot, and Captain Marvel and everything, and she was asking her about the disturbance in the sea. And she was like, yeah, it was a disturbance in the sea, and then we just didn't bother it because we let it be because it's the sea. That is a shout out to Submariner. I promise you.
Absolutely.
That is the key link to Submariner. And because Submariner and Black Panther, you know what I'm saying, coincided with each other. You know what I mean? So if they're bringing Submariner and Black Panther 2, man, I'm going to fully freak out. Like, because Submariner was one of my favorite characters, man. So just saying that got me extra excited, and I was in the movie theater like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was having so many moments, man. Even my boy Tone, who was with me, he's the one that pointed it out first and foremost to me. He was like, dude, that's a Submariner. Like, that's a Submariner shout out. Like, yeah, it was just a true nerdgasm going on.
It was absolutely. And then like just the Easter eggs popping up in there, and then the news that comes out afterwards that trickles out, like the next Guardians movie is going to have Beta Ray Bill.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, Beta Ray Bill. Like it's just so incredible that everything that they've been doing, and this movie was just epic in tying it together.
You know what I thought was incredible? The fact that they referred to Thor as the dude in that one scene where they made the dude reference.
Yeah, the Big Lebowski reference. That was on my list of things to talk about.
I mean, it was great because they referred to him, and then they showed him doing stuff the dude did, just sitting there with the glasses, with the sunglasses, chilling with that sweater. I was like, "Yo, man, they are just on a whole nother level. They are somewhere else, man." Yes, it was great.
It's like they could have ended the movie there, and I would have said, "This was great."
Yes.
One thing that I was sure that they were going to tease somewhere along the way was Jane Foster when she becomes Lady Thor. And
yeah.
I'm like, and when I saw that she's in it, I'm like, oh, we're going to have Lady Thor. We're going to have Lady Thor. And it didn't. I was like, maybe she doesn't want to be part of it anymore. But I'm like, at least tease it. At least drop that hint in there somewhere.
No, I agree with you. But I mean, they did so much, man, in those 3 hours that it was so awesome. It was just so awesome. And I mean, even.
Well, how about like the Iron Man reference of the kid from Iron Man 3?
Look, go ahead.
Remember that one? Well, I think that there had to be a reason that kid was so important in Iron Man 3 for them to bring it back. You know, it makes you think. I'm just saying, makes you think.
I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right.
And then we also have so we had Hawkeye become Ronin, which I think we all suspected, but it happened. But it totally set us up the opening scene when he's with his daughter and she's being a marksman. Is the rumor is there's going to be a Hawkeye spin-off show where she's Hawkeye.
Right, correct.
She's taken, and I'm like, that's going to be awesome too. Like it's just setting. It not only put closure on this phase of the last 10 years or 11 years of movies, it also played the long game of setting us up for the future.
Yes. And even you're talking about that first scene. What I loved about that opening scene was, again, you could remove the fact that all three of us have knowledge of Marvel comics and shows, and we're big fans. Even somebody who doesn't even follow Marvel watches that first scene can absolutely feel Hawkeye when he comes back out and everybody is gone. And you can feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you don't have kids, just see your whole family just vanish and you just completely freak out. Like, you don't know what's going on. Like, you can still feel that. And that's the genius of what they do, man. Like, they take care of everybody. They take care of everyone. You don't even have to know the comics to understand that kind of feeling. Yeah,
it's just like a human nature thing.
Yes,
he brought that emotion, and we had the emotion because, I mean, if nothing else, when Spider-Man's like, I don't feel so good. We all got hit in the feels, but then to bring it back to, just a more human, non-superhero level is this guy's whole family vanished.
Yeah.
Gone. Like, you feel those things. Like, that's so hard to do in a superhero movie. Like, that is not easy. And to still make you feel like you're 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? But to still be, have adult moments like that. It's so hard to do, but they do it so seamlessly and they do it so well, man. Like they just do it right.
I don't know about you
DC
guys.
has tried.
Oh, go ahead.
DC post Christopher Reeve has done how many Superman movies where they've tried to get one emotion across and they just failed miserably.
Blank.
and Marvel's like, let me just put the opening scene here and boom,
Right.
everyone's already crying.
It's like when I saw Batman versus Superman. You should be like devastated to see Superman die. I felt nothing.
Nothing.
I felt nothing.
Not a thing. Like
I didn't even
nothing.
care for him as Superman. Like, why should I care?
Yeah.
I think one of the best tweets I saw was somebody clearly as like a DC fan was like, the Justice League would have taken care of Thanos no problem, and somebody responded, they can't even beat Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like,
hey, applaud that. That was on me.
I mean, that was such a fire Twitter response. I had to check and see if it was Wendy's.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's excellent right there. And that's so true, man. Like those things, like you just said, they try to evoke that emotion, and like you said, Alex, you felt nothing. Like, I got so mad watching Justice League, and for a myriad of reasons. But one reason I got mad at was when Superman came back and he goes and he sees his mother again. And that should be a huge emotional moment. And like you just said, I felt nothing. Like, I felt like they did that so wrong. Like, I was like, no, your son just came back from the dead. Like, I wanted more emotion at that point in time. And it wasn't. It was just like, hey, Mom. And she hugged him, of course. And it was just like, all right, let's go get something to eat. And I'm like, wait, what? No, like there needs to be some emotion, some tears, something. And I wanted that. And they did not give that to me. I promise you I watched that scene so many times because I wanted to feel something for it. And I was like, why did they do this so wrong?
Remember in Civil War?
Here's my whole thing with Marvel versus.
Well, I was just going to say,
Alex.
remember in Civil War when Tony sees that it was Winter Soldier that killed his parents? Just that look on his face of both devastation and anger. That look right there gave me more feelings than any DC movie I've ever seen.
Wow. That's wow. And it's hard to argue. Like, that is hard to argue. Like, for real, man.
You know what I mean?
Man. No, I know exactly what you mean.
The best thing, though, is, so DC goes, we just gave you Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Doomsday all in one movie, and we still flopped. And Marvel goes, here's a talking raccoon. And it's just it's a home run. Like, it's every turn, Marvel just crushes it. Like,
Fading Away was more
I read
emotional than
Guardians of the
any
Galaxy.
DC movie, for goodness sake.
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's just a fact, man.
Print it.
Print it.
Yeah, is DC movies, they don't have any, there's no comedy in there. You don't laugh. There's no emotion. You just
watch.
You just watch.
Wow. You just watch. Because it's a superhero movie and you love DC Comics and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to watch. And man, I don't know why they continue to get this wrong. Like, they don't do the casting correctly for the people who should be acting. I mean, they never get this stuff right. And man, they got to change something because people want these movies. Obviously, I mean, even Aquaman, people wanted so much. It made a ton of money. You know what I mean? It made a ton of cash and the movie is terrible. So people want this stuff.
It was the first DC movie to cross $1 billion, and Endgame comes out and it's like opening weekend, boom, beat you.
Right,
Easy.
we're done. Like it wasn't even like no sweat.
Yeah, the movie was out for like 9 days, and it went, oh, remember Titanic? We beat Titanic.
Avatar, you're next.
Yeah, I saw a scene. Is the one scene where Sam is from Captain America, where he's jogging, and then Sam is jogging, and Captain America is like running up behind him like super fast. And I saw a meme of that, and it had Sam, and it said Avatar, and then it said Endgame on Captain America.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Man, they do it so right.
So were there any scenes from Endgame? I mean, it's a 3+ hour movie. Any scenes in there that you were like, I could have done without that one?
Well, I don't think this necessarily applies for I could have done without it, but I can't help but wonder, the scene where Black Widow dies, you know, a soul for a soul to get the Soul Stone. Wouldn't it have been more appropriate to have that be between Hulk and her? Because they had those feelings together in previous movies. And Clint, I mean, he had a family, he had a wife, he had kids. You didn't really see any, like, true love interest between Clint and Natasha. But if it was Bruce and Natasha, I think that could have been a bit more of an emotional scene.
Now I feel you. You're right. And I know the reason they probably went with that was because, you know, they have, you know, history together. You know, they fought all these wars together. You know, they've been in battle together. Like, they're friends. They're super duper tight. So for her to, I thought the fact that she was giving her life basically for her family, and her family is him. Like, I don't think she would have gave it for a Hulk. I mean, she would have, because she's a superhero and all that, but it would have been different, a different kind of feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's more so, she's more so moved by family than she was ever moved by love. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
I'm with Dave on this one. I agree, because they, you know, although that's not a love, like in love interest, is those two have this bond between them. So I'm fine with it being those two. But for me, it was that scene still, the whole, I'm going to do it. No, you're going to do it. And then, you know, tripping each other up, and like,
could have been
I thought that was a little over
agree.
the top. That was my one.
I kind of
scene.
wanted to see Red Skull in the background just kind of be like, can you hurry this up?
He's sitting there's like, why couldn't it have been goddamn Captain America?
Which I thought was a great twist in Infinity War. Who would have thought that Red Skull was still alive on another planet? That whole sequence in Captain America was just him being transported to another planet.
Yes.
I think
that is
cool.
so true, because, you know, what's funny is I didn't put that together until I watched it again, you know, that weekend. Because, you know, they show all kinds of Marvel movies right when Avengers was coming out. So, and I've seen Captain America a bunch of times, but I never put that together until after I saw that. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, man, they tie everything together. Like, they leave nothing out. They leave nothing out. They use everything. They use all the scraps. They use all the scraps, man. So, yeah, it was great. Exactly. It was a great thing.
Yeah, Dave, is there any scenes that you could have done without, or that you were a little disappointed in the movie?
Scenes I could have done without. Oh, I think, you know, I could have done without the Hulk scene in the restaurant. I could have done without it. It was a cool scene, and it was funny, and it was a funny scene and all that. But I don't know. I was like, yeah, okay. I was more so eating my popcorn at that point in time. You know, I wasn't really focused on that when that happened. But I get why they did it, and it was necessary to show what Hulk had become and how he had infused the two. And I just thought they could have did it a little bit differently. Plus, maybe I was just mad that he had all that food in front of him and he didn't eat any of it, and that upset me. So.
That pisses me off in any movie when there's like this delicious meal in front of someone and then they like leave it behind, or like don't like they order something and then they never eat it and they end up leaving. That angers
or they just keep stabbing it with their fork and then never actually take a bite.
I'm so upset. Like I remember watching Louis C.K. show Louis, and at the intro he goes to a pizza shop and he gets a slice of pizza and he takes a couple bites and throws it away. It pissed me off every single time I saw it. Pissed me off.
Have you guys seen Home Alone?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know where Kevin's about to eat a nice big thing of mac and cheese, and then it turns 9 o'clock. He pulls out the candles and run. I would have scarfed that mac and cheese down, man.
Yes, man. You can't leave food there, like especially when it's looking that good.
Especially Kraft mac and cheese, man. That's the good stuff.
Some good stuff, man. You're right, bro.
But
right.
in Louis C.K.'s defense, there's an episode of that show where Bob Kelly is on there, and the two of them, they do a bang bang, and they go eat an entire meal at a restaurant, and then they immediately go to another restaurant and have another full meal. So the bang bang might make up for the throwing the pizza away.
Yeah, maybe.
But the problem is I had to watch that intro over and over again.
True.
That was the problem. I had to relive the nightmare every time. So, yeah.
So I'm going to bring this up because my buddy Gary, he called me after he saw Infinity War, and it was funny because his wife was in the car driving him to work, and she needed the car, and we're sitting there just arguing about space-time continuum and Endgame. And his point was that if you can't snap away and make Thanos die, the only thing you can do is snap him back to the point when where his timeline was, where he left his timeline. Otherwise, none of that ever happened. It's you're completely changing the space-time continuum. And they made a big point about how you can't do that. The past, what's happened has happened.
Oh, you're talking about like the alternate timelines,
when he gets
changing the past,
when Iron Man snaps and they all disappear. So he's saying that you need Thanos he doesn't just disappear and die, or it has to disappear from that timeline, but reappear back in the timeline he came from, in order for the way history happened to continue to happen.
Oh, I see.
So I was like, man, that's kind of food for thought. I could see that. That's a weird thing, is if you go back in time, you time travel back in time, and then you come back to your own time, but somebody comes from that time, is like, you really can't kill them. Because they can only go back to their timeline that they're supposed to be in.
It's a deep thought.
Yeah.
I don't have enough weed to make this, to make these, synapses connect.
I know what you're saying, though. Yeah.
So at this point now, what are you guys most excited about going forward in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh, wow. The sequels I'm very excited for. And the TV shows. The TV shows I'm ready to watch those, like, right now. So I want to see what they do with the canceled shows. I put them in quotations because I don't really believe Daredevil and, Luke Cage and Black Panther. Not Black Panther, but Punisher and Jessica Jones are really canceled. I just think they're moving over, to Disney. So
I think so too. I think only one, Iron Fist is the only one that's gone because that show sucked.
It wasn't great. I was the only one who was probably actually enjoying that show, because I came in like, as long as you give me a C-, I'll be okay, because I didn't expect it to be great at all. I just needed it, to hit a couple of jump shots and, get a couple fouls, and I was fine. And that's exactly what it did. So,
you know what is the rest of the supporting cast in that show I liked. It's just I really hated him.
Yeah, you sound like Dub. Dub couldn't stand him. He couldn't stand
him. And it's exacerbated by at the 1 year at San Diego Comic-Con, I saw him coming out of an event, a Marvel event, and I tried to get a picture with him, and I was like, it was me. It was not a mob. It was me, and I went, "Hey, can I get a photo with you?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, well, I'm taking one anyway. And I just leaned in and took a selfie. Nah. So I'm going to have to find the selfie, because it is me grinning from ear to ear and him looking like he just smelled the worst fart ever.
That sounds like you, man.
You got to post that on Twitter or something.
I'm going to tag him in it.
Funny. I'm definitely looking forward to those TV shows and, the sequels, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Black Panther 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing with what they're going to do with Iron Man. And I'm also really looking forward to the first movie after this, which I believe is Spider-Man. So just how that ties in, you know what I'm saying, to what we just saw. So excited to see that.
Yeah, technically, Spider-Man is the last movie from Phase 3.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what the end credit is, how it's going to tease into Phase 4. But I'm excited for Spider-Man because I love anything to do with. I mean, some of my earliest memories are reading comic books with the Sinister Six. So it's going to have Mysterio in there. So anything with Sinister Six. I mean, arguably my favorite character in all of comics is Vulture. Like, I don't know why.
We talked about that on that show.
I love Vulture, man. I don't know why, because he's like a skinny old white bald guy with looks like dressed like an old lady shawl, and like I don't know why, but anything to do with Sinister Six, I love, and it's gonna have Mysterio.
Oh man, he's Michael Keaton. He's Michael Keaton.
So I'm excited for that. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with Black Panther 2. I really do think they're gonna have a Submariner in there, and I think that you're gonna introduce him. I'm excited what they're gonna do with that, and then I'm really excited about the Captain America Bucky Barnes show. I think that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. You know what? It was funny. My favorite Spider-Man villain was Kraven the Hunter. He was so strange. And he walked around with a big lion head on his chest. And he was just the most evil person. Like, he was just killing animals just for the sake of killing them. And he was just I don't know why. I just really enjoyed him. He used to always give Spider-Man fits. And I like Kraven the Hunter. I really did. It's
funny. There's a storyline. I can't remember if it was like a one shot or whatever, but it was because he doesn't have any superpowers.
None. Zero.
None.
He's just rich.
There's a rich guy with a gun and a lion head. But in this is Spider-Man had just finished fighting, I don't know, some supervillain, and it's the TV crews are there, after the big fight, and Kraven comes up and is like instigating something, and Spider-Man just punches him in the face and lays him out because Spider-Man is got super strength. Right. And and Kraven's just a dude, and he just laid out. And I was like, that's funny. That is funny.
They are good, man.
Yes, Spider-Man is definitely a movie I'm looking forward to because I think there are some questions that we're still asking after Endgame. I mean, this is going to be the last of this phase, so there may be some things answered in this movie. One of them being, how did Peter and Ned meet up in high school when it was 5 years later? And a lot of people are asking that. I feel like that isn't just a plot hole. There's going to be something to that, and we're going to find that out. We're also going to kind of see how the world is right after Endgame happened. So that's something I'm immediately looking forward to. And then everything else is pretty much the same with you guys. All the other sequels, all the TV shows, all that good stuff. I'm ready for it.
All right, man. So we got this all, our geek juices flowing. I need to talk a little Bulls. We've neglected Bulls for a while because, no offense, Dave, they're not a good team.
Well, okay.
And listen, there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of good parts, but they're not a good team.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair to say. I mean, the proof is in the pudding about what you've seen the past, few seasons. They aren't a good team. But like you said, the potential that they have, they've been going on, and that's what's been keeping things afloat for a lot of Bulls fans who are thinking positively. But potential has to turn into something, and soon, because you can only go so long on that.
So I'm gonna give my opinions here, and feel free to jump in and slap me down or boost me up or whatever you feel. So at this point, we have Zach LaVine becoming an efficient scorer. Mm-hmm. We have Lauri Markkanen is showing just absolute big time flashes as being a floor spacing big man. Mm-hmm. Wendell Carter Jr. is showing to be a defensive presence as a paint protector. And surprisingly enough, Otto Porter Jr., he looks like the glue that's congealing these guys into a team.
Excellent word, sir.
The big question for me is, how do they get better at point guard?
Oh, well, the immediate answer is you get Ja Morant in the draft. That's the immediate answer. Yeah, simple.
Easy, right?
Just, win the lottery.
Yeah.
And you're golden. Outside of Ja Morant, the only other way I can see them immediately getting better at that position is through trade or through free agency. Now, let's talk about the free agency first. So you have veteran point guards out there. You know what I'm saying? You'll have Patrick Beverley out there and people like that. You'll have an Ish Smith out there and stuff like that. But for me, those are both backups. Patrick Beverley's great. I mean, you want him on your team, just as far as, identity, and what he could bring, to the court. You saw him, what he did to Golden State and how he kind of willed that team, that Clippers team, to some of those victories over Golden State in the playoffs. And I mean, he's just a great leader to have. But him as a starting point guard, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure of that. I think he's better suited coming off the bench. But on this team, he might be the starter, but I don't think that's what you need. But you need him on your squad, though, just somebody like that. I've always liked Ish Smith out of Detroit. I wanted him before the season started because I just always felt like he fits. I wanted to trade for him. I love what he brings when he comes on the court. But again, he's a backup, and he's better suited as a backup and behind another point guard. So in free agency, I think that's what you find. You want immediate, you're going to have to trade. The name Drew Holiday has come up a lot. I've heard people talk about him, trading some people to get him. I personally, myself, if we make the trade, I want Lonzo Ball. That's who I want as a point guard. For me, that's their starting point guard. The guy who is completely unselfish, who's going to get everybody involved, and who has court vision and a very high basketball IQ. I don't need him to score, and he's not going to a lot. But he is a tremendous facilitator, and he's somebody who will actually recognize when a 7-foot-tall player like Lauri Markkanen has a 6-foot-tall guard on him and get him the basketball. He'll put people in their right position, and he's like having a coach on the floor, man. Like I really like watching him play, and he makes things easy for his teammates on the floor. So I would like him. I would really, really like Lonzo Ball to be the point guard of this team. But if that doesn't happen, then all you got is the draft prayer that I got happening, and that's for my main man, Ja Morant.
So what does it take to get Alonzo Ball on the Bulls?
It's going to take a high draft pick. If the Bulls want to trade that draft pick for him, it's going to take that and probably a player to get him. What player would you give up? That's the question. Who would you give up to get Lonzo Ball?
I would definitely give up Chris Dunn.
Oh, yeah, in 3 seconds. Yeah, in 3 seconds, you're giving up Chris Dunn. I'm giving up Denzel Valentine. The only people I'm really like, okay, I'm not going to trade for him, let's see, is Zach, Otto, Lauri, Wendell. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like we can negotiate. Can we negotiate everybody else? In my opinion. So yeah, but I think you're definitely going to need that draft pick. Like they're definitely going to want a draft pick for Alonzo Ball. So I'll say a player, maybe 2 players, and a draft pick. But maybe just a player and a draft pick could get this done.
So if the Bulls they do win the lottery, they get number 1 overall pick. Do they take Ja Morant?
No.
Or do they take Zion?
No. You take Zion. And I keep telling people this. Listen, as much as I love Ja Morant. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who I want. I have no problem saying I want Ja Morant. If you have the number 1 pick, there is no way on God's green earth you do not take Zion Williamson. There's no way.
That's what I've been saying. I mean, the guy's a generational talent. So why would you pass up
Seriously,
on that?
Like there's no way. Like there's just absolutely no way. Even even if you don't believe in Zion Williamson and you just believe that he's a John Morant or I'm just say John Morant because nobody else is better or even should be even mentioned in this sentence I'm about to say. But even if you feel like John Morant is better than Zion Williamson, you cannot, as a general manager in the organization, go back to your fan base and tell them that you passed on Zion Williamson. You would
what about though?
You will be destroyed. You cannot do that. You have to take Zion Williamson, like you said, Alex, a once in a generation talent that this man is.
Right.
And you have to take that.
What if though, if is whoever's number 2 packages a deal of future number 1 picks plus the number 2 for Zion? Does that change anything in your mind?
So you're saying if somebody has the number 2 pick and they package that with a bunch of other things and trying to move up to get the number 1 pick, I don't think whoever has the number 1 pick would take that deal. I don't see the Knicks saying no to Zion, who I think is going to get the number 1 pick. I don't see the Knicks saying no to that. I don't see Phoenix. I don't see a team that says, you know what, we'll turn that down and we'll take what you just said, and you can have Zion Williamson. I do not see that happening. I don't. And yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. And what you're saying isn't crazy. I mean that could work out. Like you're telling them that you're getting John Morant and a bunch of draft picks and a bunch of other things that they might be getting. But I just don't see how you go back to your fan base and tell them that you passed on Zion Williamson. I mean, anything Zion does after that will be directly connected to you. And I mean anything that he does after that. Anything. Like the way he chooses, if he chooses food 32 times, it would, correctly. They're like, see, they turned out a guy who chooses food correctly. If anything you do, you will be tied to that. And I don't think an organization could take that, man. I think they will be fired. I really do. I think the team will lose his job if he turns down Zion Williamson. I really do.
Unless it's Garpax and Jerry Reinsdorf, is so loyal to his subjects.
The Bulls are not that crazy. The Bulls have done some insane things, okay? They've done some things that we all have not agreed with and been vocal about, how we don't agree with them. But the one
is we all remember the tournament of trash. Yes. And so and if you are not familiar with the tournament of trash is you want to explain it, Dave? The version you did with the Bulls' terrible choices was just epic.
Thank you, sir. The tournament of trash is something we do every summer, where we find just the worst things that have happened to or that have been put out by the Chicago Bulls, or anything Bulls related. So he's like, we've done worst draft picks. We've done worst free agent signings. Last year, what we did when a lot of people told us it was our best one was worst LeBron is better than Michael Jordan arguments. Dirk Nowitzki won the tournament with that. Dirk was just too good, won the tournament. But the one he's referring to is we did worst front office decisions. And yeah, so it would be in that. That would be turning down Zion Williamson. Oh my goodness, no. There's no. Like, no, they can't do that. If there's one area I trust the front office, man, it's the draft. It's the only I truly have faith in the front office draft, because the team that they built is through the draft. And I'm looking at their years of, draft picks. I mean, you go through the NBA playoffs right now and see a bunch of old Bulls draft picks doing their thing. Jimmy Butler and Nico and guys like that still involved. So they know talent when they see it in the draft, and they're good at assessing it and picking it. So yeah, I don't think that they would be like, you know what, we're going to turn down Zion Williamson, because Zion just means everything to this league right now. Like you said, Alec, once in a generation, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the next one up. Like he's the next one. Like all your media coverage, you know what I'm saying? Everything is going to be surrounded by him. It's going to be on him.
Look how hyped this guy is every game he played at Duke. It's when people watched, people around the country hate Duke, but you saw how many people loved watching Zion Williamson.
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Like you said, I have friends. I don't have the hatred for Duke I used to have, but I have friends, who completely hate Duke, who are like, no, I'm gonna watch Zion. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna sit there, you're gonna watch this guy, you're gonna watch this phenom. It's not a stretch to say this dude is a phenom, man. Like you don't see people like this at all. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead.
Is it in the movie The Natural? Is they had the lights exploding, and Zion made Nike shoes explode.
He broke.
That's his talent.
Yes, the man, and to the point that when his shoes broke, Nike called in their whole staff and flew over to where they make Nikes just to make it a special pair of Nikes just for him. That would never ever happen again. That's how important this man is, and he did it in front of a crowd that included the former president of the United States. Like, this dude means everything to this league. So the team that turns him down is not only turning down the talent, you're turning down the money. You're turning down the recognition. You know what I'm saying? You're turning down all those things. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way. You just can't do it. As much as I love Ja, and I will profess my love for Ja going forward, and even at that draft part, I'm going to be professing it because I love Ja Morant. I want Ja Morant. That's who I want. But if they say the Bulls get the number 1 pick, there is no way you're going to hear me say the Bulls should take Ja Morant over Zion Williamson. There's just absolutely no way at all. No way at all. I'm
just imagine.
I'm crazy.
If they win the lottery and Zion is a Bull.
Yes.
Imagine what that would do for the franchise and for the city. Okay. I mean, the Bulls are a cash cow no matter what. People watch them no matter what. But oh boy, the United Center would be alive again.
Yeah, it would, man. And
I would love to see that.
And you're absolutely right. Like, fans are going to show up no matter what. The Bulls are top 2 or top 3 in attendance every year. Every single year. They're one of the top grossing franchises, top 4 or 5 every single year. It doesn't matter. The Bulls are iconic. The logo is iconic. Like, it's what it is. And
around the world, it's iconic. The Jordan created that a worldwide brand.
Correct, absolutely right. A worldwide brand, sir, is what it is. And so, so they understand they're going to make money no matter what. But getting Zion Williamson and adding that to the Bulls would be on TV all of the time. Like, it would just make everything that much more exciting and that much more great. Now, I have to talk about my man Ja because I want him so bad because he's the immediate answer, as you just alluded to, Sean, as far as point guard. He's the one. Okay, this dude, he's how I speak about Zion Williamson, but he's just a smaller package. What people don't understand is they both went to the same AAU school. Ja Morant and Zion Williamson were both at the same AAU team. They were both on that team. And of course, Zion was the one everybody was looking at and getting the recognition for. You know what I'm saying? Of course. Then Zion left. And the team was left to, Ja. And Ja, over the summer, I believe he grew like maybe 4 or 5 inches. He became like 6'2", 6'3", got a little taller. And that was the best AAU team, in the country. That season, when it was on Ja Morant averaged 41 a game. 41. And he still wasn't getting any looks from any colleges. The only college that was really looking at him and took a chance on him was Murray State, which is why he ended up there, because nobody was really looking at him. And all it took for people who didn't watch him all season, all it took was one tournament game. Just one. One tournament game for them to say, you know what, this is the number 2 pick in the draft. One. You've been watching R.J. Barrett all year because you've been watching Zion Williamson all year, right? So you've been seeing R.J. Barrett. You were like, okay, everybody, the consensus around the country was, this is it's Zion and then it's R.J. and then it's Ja. Or Zion, R.J., or even people would argue Cam Reddish at the beginning of the season and stuff like that. But one game in the tournament, just one, where he had a triple-double and he completely showed out. One game. They were like, nope, this is the guy. That's all it took. And so and I watched him all season. It's the most Murray State I've ever watched in my life. Probably the most people who even go to Murray State have watched in their lives. So I've watched Ja Morant every game I could watch, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The things I would see him do on the court were NBA level. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were on that level of just great point guards. I heard Avery Johnson, main man Avery Johnson, who coached against them this season when Alabama played them. And his comparisons were like, this dude's got the speed of Isaiah Thomas. He's got the court vision of Jason Kidd. He's got the passing ability of John Stockton. This is who he's comparing this dude to. You know what I'm saying? After one game, he was like, this dude is unbelievable. He said, I don't have enough words to just tell you how really great this dude is at playing basketball. Insane. This is a guy who played point guard in the NBA. He saw this stuff, and he's telling you, like, this dude is the truth. Ja Morant is the truth and the light. We get Ja Morant, we're in the playoffs next year immediately. Immediately we're in the playoffs. Everything looks easier. Everything looks better. Sunny days and blue skies will be out, man. I can't wait. We getting Ja Morant. I'm going to keep saying it until it comes through. We're getting Ja Morant.
So I have a question. Or go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead, Alex.
Okay. Dave, why should we have any faith in our coach?
Okay.
I'm struggling
question.
here.
I don't have a great answer for you. I don't know if you. Yeah, I don't think. And
I don't think anyone does.
And we talked about. We did an emergency Bawl on Bulls on Saturday. After we heard Jim Boylan got the extension. It'll be out this week. And on there, we just both talked about one. I met Jim Boylan, and he's a really nice guy. Okay. Everything we thought about Jim Boylan, we would say when we would watch the games as the outsiders, we'd be like, you know what? This dude looks like he's just a nice dude. Like, he's just kind, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's honest, like, he's straightforward. Like, he just seems like that. And when I met him, it was exactly that. He was kind. He was. Oh man, guys, you know, he even said nice things about our show when he did an interview with Mark Shanowski. He was like, oh, I like those guys. He was like, those guys are awesome, man. I really, really like those guys. They were fun to meet them, man. They were real cool. He's genuine, and that's straight up. But those things have nothing to do with his coaching ability. You know what I'm saying? And so when we saw him last year, I can't tell you how many times I'm screaming at some of this stuff. The timeouts he would take last year would infuriate me. We were always out of timeouts towards the end of the game. There was one play I refer to all the time they were playing the Washington Wizards. It was a few seconds left in the game. It was the game where Felicio forgot to come on the court. And their Bulls are running a 5-on-4, and then out of nowhere, Felicio comes running down like, "Oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be on the court!" And they inbound the ball.
Oh God!
It was a ridiculous play. What was frustrating to me was also Felicio being, late to the court, of course. What was frustrating was Jim Boylan was at half court coaching. Felicio was behind him. He didn't even recognize he had 4 people on the court. So you're the coach. You're supposed to recognize there are 5 people that need to be out there. He didn't recognize it at all. He's out there barking out plays. He's out there coaching and not recognizing his whole team is out there. That's a problem. The fact that he got into it with coaches like Doc Rivers. He got into it with the coach of Phoenix. I couldn't remember his name. He's not there anymore. But he was only there 1 year, his first year. He got under the skin of them to the point Doc Rivers and him both got technical fouls and ejected. And Doc is like, yeah, I've never even been through anything like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what this means. Like, how do you – coaches defend each other like nobody's business. Jeff Van Gundy and Stan Van Gundy have never said a bad word about a coach ever. When you listen to them, they don't talk bad. Coaches, it's a fraternity. It's a brotherhood. And the fact that coach on Phoenix got so mad at Jim Boylan for calling the timeout in a blowout to set up a play.
Right.
He walked off the court. He didn't even shake his hand. He was left. It was so loud, Alex. It spoke so loudly that he got under the skin of people volumes. Who you were supposed to be cool with, who got your back, and they mad at you? Like, those things, man, those are little things that said something to him. Now, Jim Boylan likes conflict. He said it a million times. He likes conflict. He doesn't see any problem with getting, ruffling feathers, as long as, he feels, he's a good communicator. Jimmy Butler vouches for him as far as him being a good communicator, somebody who can push you and and those kind of things. All that's cool, but all those things sound like motivator stuff, as far as assistant coaches. I'm talking about the X's and O's is what I'm talking about when it comes to head coach. What's your plan on offense? What's your plan on defense? What's your rotations? How are you calling these timeouts? Do you know when to call this double team? Like, I understand you're animated, and I understand you know you got all this fire, and I understand you got all these sound bites. Oh, I get all of that, bro. But none of that means nothing to me if you can't coach your team on the floor. And what I saw last year did not give me, just a great feeling about him being the coach.
Right.
And I want to be so wrong about this, guys. I want to be wrong. I want to be completely wrong about Jim Boylan. I hope Jim Boylan comes out and just proves me completely wrong, and everybody who doubts him wrong. But from what I'm seeing, no, I'm not over the moon about it. I'm not super excited about it. But I mean, I'm willing to give him a chance because they signed him. So let's give him a year and let's see what happens. Yeah, let's just give him a year and see what happens, man.
Nothing we could do about it, yeah.
So I only got a couple more questions for you, Dave. Is number one, where does Denzel Valentine fit on this team next year and going forward?
Somebody gotta get the water. So I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Actually, Denzel Valentine, I think fits in well coming off the bench with this team. If they're not asking, but this is all predicated on them having another facilitator on the team, like an actual backup point guard, like we just talked about. Because if Denzel Washington is the one that I'm dependent on facilitating and bringing the ball up and doing things like that, I don't have any faith in him doing that. Now, he can shoot the ball. Denzel Valentine, his 3-point percentage is really, really good. He can shoot that ball. But the one thing he can't do is stay on the court. He's hurt all the time. First it's his ankles, then it's his knees, you know what I'm saying? It's things like that. Like last year they were like, oh no, he's day-to-day. And then day-to-day went to, yeah, he's out for the year. You know what I mean? He's walking around with the big foot brace on the entire time on the sideline. So yeah, man, those things, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about his health. That concerns me. But when he's on the court, I see where he fits in with the bench. I see exactly where he fits in and what they need him to do. He can play the 2 or he can play the 3 coming off the bench. Chandler Hutchison already showed you he can play the 3 or the 4, so I'm not worried about where they put him at. But Denzel, I can see him because they're going to need shooting. This team lacked shooting, among other things, last year. They lacked shooting coming off that bench. And they're going to need that. And he provides that at least. He can run something in the half court. That's fine. But I don't need him getting a rebound and running that molasses fast break that he runs. Because this dude, he's so slow and he can't jump. And the man dunked for the first time last year. First time in NBA career. He dunked last year. That's crazy. He's 6'8". So yeah, those things, I see where he fits in, as far as shooting is concerned and as far as like half court and stuff like that. But if he can't stay healthy, and this is the year that I'm really judging him, if he cannot stay healthy, I don't see how he stays on this team, man. I really don't see how they pick up his option and bring him back.
So it sort of led into my next question.
I'm sorry. I really don't see how they pick up his option.
It sort of leads to my next question is, who are the shooters on this team in not the first unit going forward? Who are the shooters?
Oh man. Woo, that's a tough question. Oh, I mean, you look at, I guess you got guys like Archie Diacono you look at, but he can't shoot. You know what I'm saying? I'm not dependent on him being a great shooter. Coming off the bench, we're just talking about like 3-point shooting and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, Denzel Valentine is the
just lob it up and hope good things happen.
Yes. Like I said, Denzel Valentine is probably the key guy you're looking at, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to your 3-point shooting. They didn't have it. I mean, it's so much you have to look at Chandler Hutchison also. We don't know what we have with him yet. We know he's a good slasher. We know he can play, space the floor. We know he can do those kind of things. But can he be a shooter? Can he shoot that ball? Can he put that rock in the hole? I don't know. Like, there's so many things I just do not know about this team. Like, looking at the bench, if it isn't Denzel Valentine, I mean, you're lost. I mean, Blakeney in his head is the greatest shooter alive. But, it's just not – it doesn't carry over to the court. and that's the only problem you got. So if you're going to run that second unit, I don't see how you don't keep a starter out there with him. You're going to have to keep an Otto Porter out there with him. You're going to have to keep a Zach or a Laurie out there because, yeah, man, they are lacking in shooting off of that bench, man. So that's why Denzel Valentine is so important to this team coming in next year. Unless we trade him for Lonzo Ball, then I don't care. But coming into that's why he's important, is because he's the only true threat as a three-point shooter for this team off the bench.
So my last question is, of the following names, who comes back, who do the Bulls bring back, and who walks?
Okay.
Robin Lopez, Wayne Selden, Ryan Arcidiacono, Shaquille Harrison, and Walter Lemon.
Okay. Let me start with Robin Lopez. Honestly, I think Robin Lopez stays. I don't think Robin Lopez is motivated by money. I really don't. Nothing about him says that he's motivated by money. He's been wearing the same Seattle Mariners hat since he got in the league. I don't think he's motivated by it. I think he likes being here in Chicago. He proved a lot to people like myself who weren't really high on him. He was really good. Like, he was really good. Like, he actually changed his game, because if you guys noticed, the year before, his game was very post-predicated. Like, he would just go in. I'm sorry, the year before, he was a jump shooter. Excuse me, that's true. He was a jump shooter. He would get the ball, and he would free throw line extended. He would hit those jump shots, hit it from the elbow. He would do those things. This year, he was in the post, like making moves in the post and shooting the three every once in a while. So he showed that he can change his game and actually, affect the team like that. But I think he likes being here. I really do. I think he likes being here. I don't know about the money. I don't think the money moves him, but winning might move him. You know what I'm saying? He might say, I want to go somewhere and win. But if he wants to just be happy, like he just seems he is, I would like him to stay. I think he would stay, personally. I think he would stay. I think it'll surprise you and stay. RT Diacono, they're never letting go. He's Kirk Heinrich 2.0. He's never, ever, ever leaving. The day I saw him on the Bulls bench, I remember sitting next to Chris. I said, Chris, there go your new Kirk Heinrich. I just saw it. You can see it. You can see it. And he was like, who? I was like, I don't know him, but that's him. I was like, I know what I'm seeing. That's him.
Every Chicago team ever needs that one try-hard guy.
Yes. And he tries hard. And you got to have, like you said, it's good to have guys like that on your team. He had, for me, the best play of the Bulls' year this season against Philly, when he went diving out of bounds to save the ball to Otto Porter Jr., who caught it and then lobbed it up to Zach LaVine for the alley-oop dunk. That was the best play of the year for the Bulls. It was an incredible play. I like how he plays. He plays with his heart. You know what I'm saying? You like that. You need guys like that, you know what I'm saying, on your team. The Bulls are not letting him go.
He's the 2018-2019 Bulls version of Tom Waddle.
Oh God, yes. But Waddle was actually dope. Waddle was a starter and a for show starter in this league. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. I feel your point. I think you said Shaquille Harrison. I think he goes. I think Shaquille Harrison won't be here. He had the crispiest lineup on the team. His barber should get high fives. That dude's haircut was amazing all year round. And I like the way he plays. He also is a guy that plays with that kind of heart and that kind of intensity. But he actually was better, in my opinion, like as far as a creator, creating his own shot, you know what I'm saying, on the offensive end. And on the defensive end, I mean, he plays tough, man. Like, he's going to be good in this league. Like, he's going to be somewhere where he could be good in this league, man. Yeah, I like his style. Walter Lemon Jr., I don't think he's there either. I think he's going also. They're going to be clearing room, guys, to get veterans and point guards. You know what I'm saying? So I think those guys will be cleared out for that. So.
Well, that's the thing. That payroll is not going to be very big.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they're trying. They're going to have. I can't remember their cap space. I want to say it's 18 or 19. I can't remember.
I just looked it up. It's 23.5.
23.5. Okay. So they got enough to get a free agent They got enough to get a free agent and maybe something else with that. So, and it also depends on, again, if Robin Lopez stays or not, and you know what I'm saying, what his money, is going to look like. So, yeah, they're going to be clearing out those kind of guys. But as far as Arcidiacono, no, he's not going anywhere. He is the only one of the people you just mentioned who I know for sure, 100%, that he will be a Chicago Bull. There's no doubt in my mind.
That's all I had, Big Dave. Did you have anything you wanted to ask Dave for his expertise, Alex?
Well, I think you pretty much answered everything I had in mind. I mean, my main question was about Boylan. I guess, one last smaller question I would have is, going into this offseason, I mean, is there any chance that they're interested in one of the big free agents, or at least try?
Well, they're definitely interested, of course. They're interested in Anthony Davis and Durant and Kawhi and all those guys and Kyrie. All those guys.
Right.
They definitely have those interests, but the question is, do those players have interest in them? And that's exactly, and that's where you hit that wall. We don't think that those guys have big interest in coming here to Chicago. I don't think Anthony Davis wants to come here.
Does Zion change anybody's mind?
Zion, great question. I think will definitely change some minds. Wherever Zion goes, it will change minds to say, you know what? I think I want to play with this young man. I think I want to play with this fella. But if you're a free agent, you're looking for the money, aren't you? Like you're trying to get paid, unless you're trying to go to a team where immediately we're going to win. So you're looking for money, you're looking for winning, and you're looking for comfort. Those are your top three, in my opinion. Though I think those are the top three things you look for.
So kind of a follow-up question going along with that really quick. Just a lot of people are talking about the Knicks and how they have all that money. Do you think this whole theoretical, they're going to sign two big free agents and then strike high the lottery and draft somebody big? Do you see that all coming together? I mean, the free agents, I guess you can't predict the lottery, but
right.
Do you think there's a real possibility of that?
I'm going to say no. I've never been one to think that they would be signing those big free agents. I never thought Kevin Durant was going to New York. Listen, Kevin Durant told them, he said in the interview, he's comfortable being the number 2 guy. He's comfortable not having it on him. That's where his comfort level lies. And being in Golden State, you see it, because it's not on him. It's Steph Curry's squad, no matter how Steph Curry plays, it's Steph Curry's team, right? So Kevin Durant is comfortable in that number 2 position. You come to New York, you think he wants to come to New York and deal with that media? No, absolutely.
Ruthless.
He can't deal with it. He having a problem with the media now in Golden State. Okay, he's had problems with them in Golden State. All right, he's gonna have to deal with that in New York City. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't see him anywhere near New York. Kyrie Irving, maybe. He could, but honestly, I think Kyrie will go back to Boston depending on what Boston does in these playoffs. If Boston goes to the finals, I think he comes back.
I think the problem with New York signing 2 big free agents is they have a terrible team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. And you not only need the money, you need somebody wants to win as well. So you need them to have somebody there that they want to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the number 1 pick and you get one other superstar, then you might get that other one. But that first superstar coming is going to be the linchpin, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's like with the Bulls is what's making somebody want to come here.
Very true.
It's even less so in New York because they got nobody. They had Porzingis, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll get rid of him for some reason."
Right. They just gave him up. There's more on the Bulls side to want to come here than it is to want to come to New York. As far as the team, you look at Zach LaVine, and you look at Lauri Markkanen, and you look at Wendell Carter Jr. Guys want to play with that. That's a really nice, fun lineup to play with. And playing with Otto Porter Jr., who's already shown you he's unselfish. Yeah, I think you could definitely want to play with that. I don't know if that has anything to do with why a team would want to come here or not, because it seems like anytime that comes up, it's people say the front office. It's the front office is the reason why these free agents don't want to be here, don't want to deal with Chicago, and things of that nature. But I don't know. If I have to choose between New York and Chicago, I don't see how you choose New York. Honestly, like for the reasons you just stated, and plus the actual attention of that media scrutiny will be all over you. I don't see it at all. I don't see how you go New York over Chicago, and we're a better team. Like we're a better team. Even as bad as we weren't the Knicks. You know, you're like there's bad, and then there's Nick bad. Like those are two. Oh my goodness, those are two different worlds of bad right there. But they have a good coach though. I like David Fizdale. I like Dennis Smith Jr. And that's about it. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Dave, for being on the show, talking Avengers with us, talking Bulls with us. Thank you so much. Can you plug yourself? Because we hype you up a lot, but I need you to hype yourself, and I'm gonna stand behind you with a big clock on my neck and doing a little dance while you do your thing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. First, thank y'all for having me on the show. Y'all already know how I feel about y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all. You can check out our podcast, Bow and Bow on Bulls, on our website, bawlsports.com. We are also on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We are definitely there. Also, you can check me out on television on Bulls Outsiders with my peoples, Matt Peck and John Sabine. We do the show with a fan's perspective of the Chicago Bulls. And like I said earlier, we'll be doing a live show May 14th. We'll be doing a live draft lottery party. First 100 people get a T-shirt. There'll be a T-shirt giveaway. There'll also be us, Mark Shanowski, and the rest of the crew. Kendall Gill, Will Purdue will be there. Ryan Archidiakono will be there. It's going to be a fun time. It really is. So we suggest you all come on out to that on May 14th at the Public House. And yeah, so that's what we do. We're all over the place. Thank y'all for having me. Alex, also want to say happy belated birthday to you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. And I've already told you this. You're one of the most awesome people that I've ever met, especially one of the most awesome young people I've ever met, sir. You are wise and mature beyond your years, sir. Definitely.
Right back at you, man. Love you.
My man, dog. And shout out to you, Sean. You already know you my guy, sir.
All right. Thanks to our man, Big Dave, for being on the show. Always a good time. So definitely,
it doesn't happen enough, in my opinion.
It doesn't. Dave, honest to goodness, is I met him from doing the show. Is I ran into their podcast, Bawl, and I reached out to them and was like, "Hey, I see you do a podcast. I do a podcast, and similar things. Like, you ever want to like co-promote each other?" And they didn't get back to me for like 4 months, and I was like, "Oh man, they must hate me. Think my show's terrible." And it ended up, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even see the email." They're like, "Definitely let's do this." And got to meet Chris and Big Dave doing that. And they're both fantastic people. I absolutely love hanging out with Dave. It's such a good time. He is, you know, the personality he puts on the radio, on the podcast, on TV. That's him. Like, he's just like a fun, like just easygoing, good dude, easy to talk to.
Right on. Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up and we're going to talk a little bit of Cubs here. And I don't even know what to say. Like, this team is playing like the team we expected to see at the beginning of the season.
Well, look, the offense is scoring runs. They're having great at-bats. The starting pitching looks good. And, boy, you got to give that bullpen in yesterday's game a hell lot of credit because, you know, Yu Darvish didn't go very far, and they were able to keep the Cardinals exactly where they were at. And it was kind of that old bend, don't break type of bullpen pitching, but they didn't break. Everything was working.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did not have a very good game, period. And he didn't go that many innings. And not even to beat up you is that this Cardinals team going into this game, to this series, was just beating the hell out of the baseball.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't a great matchup, honestly, for either Yu Darvish or Quintana tonight. It really wasn't.
No. And so, not to be a you apologist, but it's just a bad matchup. Again, that the team that was just killing the ball, did what they needed to do against Yu Darvish, and the bullpen did what they needed to do to hold the lead, and so the Cubs could get the win. And right now, while we're recording this, it's the bottom of the 7th, and the Cubs are up 7-2. So, knock on wood, it's looking like this could be a sweep.
Knock on wood, especially against the Cardinals.
Knock on Buttercup's hooves.
Oh my God. Yesterday, the Kentucky Derby, all I could frickin' think about was Buttercup winning the Kentucky Derby and then being overruled like it was yesterday. Imagine John Lackey
pulling a George Brett when he got the Pine Tar bat and just come running out there, spitting his chaw and just coming out red-assed.
And there's no jockey from Buttercup. It's just Lackey in one of those jockey hats.
Oh man, that's too good. But yeah, this Cubs team is coming together. And they're not fluky either. So at first we're like, okay, well, they're beating up on teams that they're supposed to be beaten up on. And we talked about that. And they're like, that's the key to a good team is you beat all the teams you're supposed to beat. And then, I'd say for the most part, if you split the games against the good teams and you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, you are right there for the division lead. And the Cubs took care of the team that they needed to take care of. And you're like, okay, well, they're going to Seattle to play the Mariners. And the Mariners are a good team this year. And they took care of the Mariners.
They destroyed them on my birthday. That was great.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, they're playing the Arizona. You're like, Arizona, they've got a great record. They've got good bats on that team. Cubs take care of them. You're like, okay, well now it's the big dogs. We're playing the Cardinals. This is a series that every Cubs fan is nervous about because St. Louis just took care of business with the Brewers. They're in first place by several games already in the season, and the Cubs are going for the sweep tonight.
Yeah, and it all started with a Maddox by Kyle Hendricks. 81 pitches against one of the hottest lineups in baseball. And they said on the radio, and it's definitely true, and that was a team effort because not only did it take Hendricks throwing strikes, it took the defense making some nice plays. That was a team effort right there, which goes to show that everything was functioning properly. The defense was playing the way it should. Rizzo had the big timely hit. And look, they didn't really get that many hits that day. I mean, I didn't watch it. I was at work, but I saw the box score. They weren't hitting the ball a lot, but they made the most of when they had the opportunity to score, took care of that, and then the rest worked itself out with good pitching, good defense. It was just a well-played game by this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not only was it a gem, but you're right, it was 81 pitches. And the last time the Cubs had a complete game with that few pitches, was like 2002? Johnny Lieber. And so in the last time it happened in baseball, I think was like 5 years ago, 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just an absolute gem. And you're right. It was a big part of the defense, but you saw what Kyle Hendricks can do. And I always think performances like that are really important in the first game of a series. They really set the tone. I think I think if you're playing the Cardinals and this is human beings playing this game. This is not robots. Is when you're facing your nemesis in the division, and if they pull a doozy on you and win the first game of the series, it adds pressure for those last two games. You're like, you know what?
Absolutely.
We're at home. We need to win at least, these last two. We have to. We can't lose the series at home. And then it just becomes must wins. But you win that first one and take it, and you're like, okay, pressure's off. To win this series, we just need to win half of the games. Just got to take one more. And then you win that next one, on a wild one. This one just becomes gravy.
Exactly.
This just becomes gravy tonight.
Exactly. I mean, the pressure was off when you win the series. You say either we win, we sweep, or we don't. We've won the series.
Yeah, and this game has been on in the background and mute while we were recording. So it hasn't been a pretty game. Fielding errors, just a lot of balls in play. The Cubs have a lead, but it hasn't looked like the safest lead, and but they're winning, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, and hopefully when we finish recording this podcast, they do win, and then people listen, and it's like, oh, well, the Cubs lost. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's in the 8th right now. So
6 more outs to go.
We've got 6 more outs, and we got a 5-run cushion. So, but yeah, it's been, finally things coming together. Is starting pitching has been pretty darn good. The bullpen has been night and day difference, especially considering that, multiple important cogs that you thought you had going into the season are not with you right now. Brandon Morrow, Carl Edwards, and you've got other important pieces that just aren't there. You're doing it.
Brandon Morrow at this point might not pitch for the Cubs again.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but
Yeah, it'd still be nice to have a Craig Kimbrell.
Plague Primbrel.
Yeah, but it's to see them doing this with patchwork almost, and to not have, on top of missing those guys, you don't have arguably the best bullpen arm that you had last year, who didn't sign with you again as a free agent.
Are you referring to Jesse Chavez?
Yes.
Well, he stinks again, so whatever.
He stinks again, but we don't have him. What he did for the Cubs last year was huge.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, but you don't have that. You don't have Brandon Morrow. You don't have Carl Edwards. So it is, it's a lot of pieces that you could have had going forward that you just don't have, and they're so it's almost like patchwork that you have this. And then the bats are coming alive. You're finally starting to see life out of Brizzo, but it's been everybody else. It has been Wilson Contreras. It's been Javi Baez. It's been
Jason
a
Hayward
lot of
still
guys.
above 300.
Jason Hayward still looking great. Even when he's making outs, he's hitting the ball hard.
Yeah. Wilson Contreras is 1 home run off of his total from last year, and it's May. It's early May. He is 1 home run off of last year's total.
It just tells you that injury bug can really have lingering effects.
Oh yeah, I mean, I especially think that he was just really pounded into the ground last year. He played a lot, and that's why I think it's important to really get him some help. He had some help yesterday. Who we've said we don't trust Taylor Davis, and yet he hits a grand slam.
I still don't trust him.
Well, I don't want him to long solution either, but you got to give the guy credit for that. That's pretty awesome to work so hard for this dream and then hit a grand slam. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, I will say this though. After this series with the Cardinals, we have a 4-game set against the Marlins at home. That is a perfect time to let Taylor Davis play behind the plate. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you don't want to give Wilson Contreras days off at bat, is put him in the field somewhere. You know, he's played a couple other positions sparingly, but you know, give him days off from catching.
Right. Or maybe if you start him at catcher and you have a nice lead in the middle innings, take him out.
Yeah, I'm all for that. All for that. I saw you tweeted something like that, and I'm all for that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good opportunity to do it. And I also think that this upcoming 4-game series is one of the few 4-game series where I say you just have to sweep them. It's the Marlins. Anything less than
you
3 out of 4 would be
have,
really disappointing.
Yeah, you don't want to have a situation where you're playing so well, you come off a sweep of the Cardinals, and then foil it with poor play against just a vastly inferior team.
And that's the thing that happens sometimes. I mean, you beat a great team, and then you kind of play down to your competition. The one thing that I think at least is good to know going to that series is the Cubs have played down to the Marlins the past several years in Miami. This year they did not. They swept them. So hopefully that just tells you right there they're going to keep the train moving and at least win 3 of those games.
You hope.
You hope.
Yeah, you feel like anything less than 3 out of 4 is a failure.
Right. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say they take 3. If there's one loss where it's just kind of one of those fluky baseball losses you lose just because it's baseball, okay, but you don't want to lose any more than 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What else with this team? You're seeing just solid play. The defense is playing better because there was points during that debacle at the beginning of the season when, and I'm not gonna lie, is we lost a lot of confidence in this team because they were failing at every point. It wasn't like, oh, the bats are cold. Last year, the bats were cold and we have no offensive production, but it was the bats were cold. The starting rotation wasn't very good. The bullpen was terrible. They weren't even playing good defense. It was epic failure at every point.
That 6-error game in Atlanta.
Yeah, and now it is completely turned around. Bats are great. Pitching is great. Defense is playing really good. I mean, today this game there was a big play by Zobrist in the outfield to make like a diving catch. It's things like that, just these little things that just make snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Exactly. And by the way, if you're wondering what the Marlins record is coming in, they're 9-24.
Yeah, and they're already double digits out of first place, right?
At 10. And as you say that, Bryant Boots an easy ball. Stop jinxing.
Well, I'm on time I'm on a lag from you. He hadn't even pitched that ball when you said that.
Yeah.
So it's it is just, it's a lot more fun to watch. And and it's easy to be like, oh yeah, of course you enjoy when the team is winning versus losing. Like, oh, duh, that's of course.
Crap.
But it's another thing to watch them just lose and play like dog crap. Is if you lose and it's a hard fought game and you lose, like you still like, I enjoy watching the game. I don't like the outcome, but it was a good game. But when they're playing 6 errors or, the starter can't go out past the 3rd inning, that's just not fun baseball to watch. I mean, look at the White Sox against this series against the Red Sox. Like, that's not, if you're a White Sox fan, that is not fun baseball to watch.
Right. You don't want to see the pitching give up 10 plus runs in multiple games in a row.
Or 10 consecutive hits. 10 consecutive hits. Like, that's not fun baseball.
Yeah, no, that's not. And what's too bad for the Sox is they came off some really epic wins.
Absolutely.
The one against the Red Sox, that comeback against the Tigers. I mean, those were unbelievably epic wins. And, you know, I kind of thought that was going to carry them the rest of that Boston series and maybe they'd win another game or two. But unfortunately for them, that's not the case. But, you know, point being is, yeah, you have more fun the more you win.
Yeah, more you win, or just playing solid baseball. You know, yesterday's game, had they lost, you know, the situation had been reversed, it still would have been a good game, you know. But like, you know, that's the point, is the Cubs are playing a much better brand of baseball, and it's hard to watch a team just play like crap. You know, wins and losses. It's baseball. If you don't like watching your team lose, baseball is not the sport for you, because even if you have an absolutely fabulous season, you're still going to lose 60 games.
Yep, you're going to lose to teams that you shouldn't. You're going to beat teams that are really tough. It's all about the ups and downs. And because the sport of baseball, I think, can be one of the flukiest games in all of sports.
It's weird.
I mean, think about it. Think about how many hard hit balls that one team can have, and then they bloop others and they get hits.
Yeah, it's a game where they have a stat, you know, for just pure luck. Like, it is.
That's the unique thing of it.
Yeah, they calculate in a fudge factor for just pure luck when they do things. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, and the difference between a guy just, you know, batting 300 with a 900 OPS and batting 250 with, you know, a 7-something OPS is just inches. You know, the ball goes inch higher, goes over the head of the shortstop instead of right into his glove, and that's a double. You know, it's just little things like that. It just makes it such a unique game.
I mean, look at Yu Darvish's inning yesterday where all the runs scored. If some of those ground balls are just a foot or two in the other direction, they're ground outs. That's just the nature of the game.
Yeah, and especially, you know, with the shifts that they do for different players, like they take a lot of that away. I mean,
yeah.
A guy that if you played him straight up, it's going to bat 300. You put the hard shift on him and he bats 240.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy. I mean, you see the game evolving as teams evolve against other teams and other players. You shift against them. Okay, time to hit for more power. Next thing you know, you have more guys hitting for power and you have more guys striking out more. We're shifting. Well, we've pretty much shifted the past few years to power hitting, slugging, get on base, more strikeouts. You know, guys who just hit 300 plus, but not a lot of home runs. You know, you're seeing less of that and more slugging.
Absolutely, you absolutely are. But it's you know, it's cool to watch is this is White Sox related, but I love watching Eloy play when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I like watching Yohan Moncada, what he's doing this year. But Tim Anderson is becoming the White Sox Javi Baez.
Yeah, and not just because he's a shortstop, but you know, he's kind of been the energy source. That's a good way to put it, right?
Energy. He's the energy, not just on the field, but just the passion for the game. The excitement that he brings on the field, like that's what Tim Anderson is bringing, and that's what Javi Baez brings.
And you know what I'm so sick of?
And as I'm saying this, Javi hits a double.
Yes, a beautiful one in the gap. You know what I'm sick of? Ooh, who's better? Tim Anderson or Javi Baez? Don't do the comparison game. You should appreciate each player for who they are.
Yeah, right now, if you're comparing apples to, and here's the thing, right now you're going to compare apples to apples. Javi Baez is a guy that's in his second straight year of being a contender for the MVP. But you know what? It took him a long time to get to that point.
I wrote an article about that
Tim
today.
Anderson is still working to that. So it's hard to compare two guys that are in two different phases in their career and on two completely different levels of team. So it's a really hard comparison to make, and I don't like that comparison. Number one, it takes away from both guys, and both guys should be commended and built up rather than that who's better kind of tears one down versus the other. I just think it's unfair to both guys when both guys are a huge cog and a huge unlikely unsung cog.
And it's just pointless. Like it's more of that pointless crosstown crap that I'm so sick of. Who cares?
I'm at the point where I just don't care. Like, I've been watching so much White Sox baseball this year. And I have, I don't have the same passion that I do for watching the Cubs game, but I so thoroughly enjoy watching the White Sox play. And I would love to see this team win a World Series because they're in my town. They're a Chicago team. And I'm somebody that grew up hating the White Sox. And over the years, it just softened and softened to the point now where I'm just like, what was the point of that?
Right.
Like, what did I gain from that? Like with the Cardinals or
They're
whatever,
always going to be a rival.
That's a different city. They're a rival.
No.
The White Sox are not a rival. They're in another division. We play a couple games with them.
Yeah.
We play like 6 games against them in a season. Like, whoop-de-doo. Yeah, it's whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. So, to your point, exactly.
Oh, are there any other topics you wanted to talk about?
I will say this. John Lester looks dominant again. Last year, he grinded. This year, he legit looks dominant so far.
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
The movement, the velocity, it looks good.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's not just last year, you're right, he grinded it out, and sometimes it was uncomfortable to watch the games because you're like, I know he's going to make it through this, but it is not
a lot of
easy
hard
to
hit
watch.
balls,
This year it is just it's just like he found the fountain of youth.
And it's amazing that he's able to do that after coming back from an injury, because you saw how he pitched against the Dodgers. He was missing a ton of bats. And then against the Mariners, that lineup that led the American League in home runs was mowing him down with ease.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just really happy to see that.
Yeah, so it's good. I just hope he can stay healthy. That's the thing, if he stays healthy, he's just going to keep rolling, and that'd be awesome at this point in his career to potentially win a Cy Young. Cool. That'd be real cool.
Knock on wood.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. If you're not an Avengers fan, which you should be, thanks for bearing with us. But make sure you hit us up on social media at ShyFanPat1, at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com. Hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or the TuneIn app. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on the plains. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down.